Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again for another First Impression Fridays, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Dior Sauvage Elixir, so stay tuned for that. If you like first impressions, top 10 lists, or fragrance reviews and cologne comparisons, hit that subscribe button for more great content. Now, I will admit I am someone who actually does enjoy Sauvage. I know it's a very popular fragrance, but it does get a lot of hate from the community. I did own a bottle for a while, but I probably, I say I like it, but I'm not sure that I would actually have bought any of the previous Sauvages after trading the bottle that I did have. But I was very excited about Elixir, did want to give it a try, see what they've done with Sauvage, especially because I found Perfume a little bit of a letdown, and I will get into a little bit of a comparison there. Now, I'll say that this is a bit of a different first impression. Basically, I went down to the store, and I was able to actually try the fragrance out. Still have a little bit here on a strip. So it is a little bit more than an actual 10-minute first impression. I've had, about an hour or two to sit with this fragrance and talk about it or think about it, and digest it and give you guys sort of the idea that I get off the first feeling of this fragrance. So I actually did really like this in the opening, and I will say the one thing that I liked about this a lot is that it felt like a little bit more of a return to Sauvage, whereas Parfum smelled really, really different. And the thing that I didn't like about it is that really characteristic, fresh kind of ambroxan vibe that I came to know Sauvage for having. That was missing from Parfum for me. It was a denser, darker kind of a fragrance, more woody. But it didn't have the freshness, and to me that's the one characteristic of Sauvage that I think should be there, that does need to be there, because it is such a noticeable part of the DNA. So what I feel like they've done with Elixir here is they've changed a lot about the fragrance, but that freshness is still there. Especially in the opening, I actually get a little bit of that sort of piercing metallic ambroxan kind of a feel that you got with especially the EDT, and also to some degree with the EDP. So I did really, really like that about it, and that was right on first sniff. The thing is, there's something about this opening that does make it feel a little bit fruity. Now, I did look at the notes, and there's grapefruit in it. Nothing that really would give off this really kind of fruity vibe that I actually made me think a little bit of Date for Men by Jeremy, or Fragrance One. It has a sort of familiar feel to it like that fragrance, so there is something nice there that is a real nice fruity vibe. And I will say on the strip, even a couple hours later, actually a lot more than that, probably 4 or 5 hours later, that freshness is still sticking around and that fruitiness is still there. Now on skin, for me the fruitiness didn't last that long, but it does last quite a while. The fruity feel is going to be there for 2 or 3 hours for sure. Now, a lot of people call this a very spicy fragrance, or a woody spicy. Now, I don't find it that spicy. I do get a little bit of this kind of cinnamon feel, and it feels like a dialed back cinnamon vibe that you get from something like Side Effect. Now, it doesn't smell anything like Side Effect, just to clear that bit up. But if you isolate just the cinnamon note, if you tone that cinnamon down quite a bit, then I feel like it's kind of would get you in the ballpark of what you get here with cinnamon. To me, cinnamon is the most prominent of the spice. I think there's a couple other spices in here. Don't really pick those up, and I don't really find this to be an overly spicy fragrance, but there is a little touch of something there that adds a little bit of spiciness. I actually found the lavender and the sandalwood to be a lot more prominent, especially as the fragrance starts to move on, than any of the individual top notes. Now, like I said, there is a really strong fruitiness there, so in that top, I definitely get that a lot. But especially once that starts to tone back, spices not so much, but it is definitely a woody lavender. Now, some people have compared this to Beau de Jour, and I don't actually agree with that, but the lavender woody vibe does have a very kind of similar, I almost want to call it like a dusty lavender feel. It's not full on dusty or powdery, but there is this sort of very dry, woody lavender that you do get in Beau de Jour that you kind of get a little bit here too. Now, I don't think that doing a comparison of these two fragrances, you could say they smell the same or similar. But again, to give you an idea of what that lavender wood feel is like, there is a similarity there. Again, not one-to-one, but it is just an aspect of Beau de Jour that I feel like is in Sauvage Elixir. A lot of people calling this a little bit more of a mature fragrance, and definitely as this one starts to dry down, I feel that. I feel that a lot because it is, it has a little bit of that cinnamon to keep it interesting and nice, but it does have quite a lot of lavender and a strong woodiness, where it's not as playful as maybe the EDT. This one does feel a little bit more mature. Now the opening, especially with that fruitiness, is quite youthful. It's very youthful, but again, that all dials back, and as this one dries down, definitely feels a lot more mature. So in that respect, I do agree with some of the reviews that I've been reading. Nonetheless, it is nice, and it is, in my opinion, a much better release than the Perfume, which I actually did not like. Now, the freshness does definitely dissipate, as I mentioned. Sandalwood, especially more towards the opening, is nice. It's very present. It does have a very slight creaminess, but it's not an overly creamy sandalwood. Not like if you think of something like Meander, where I do find that sandalwood is very, very silky. It doesn't have that degree to it, but it is something where, at least to me, it definitely gave off the impression of being sandalwood, not just a different kind of woodiness, which often I find with sandalwood notes, it does just smell kind of woody, but maybe a little bit better quality than some other woods, without that sort of distinct creaminess. You do get a little bit of a creaminess here. But anyways, it was a very nice first impression. I do think it's worth a try, especially for those people that do like Sauvage. And if you're not burnt out from Sauvage, it is a definite nice release. And like I said, better than Parfum by a mile, in my opinion. Now, the opening feels to me very versatile. For just when I would figure wearing this, it does feel like a fairly versatile fragrance. But just given that it has a lot of lavender and woods, I feel like it's more of a spring fragrance than anything else. Spring, fall, maybe summer. It does have some good strength to it, and I will say that especially in that opening, especially in that first spray, I did just one spray on my hand, and I gotta say, it almost induced a little bit of a headache, almost. And that was one of my complaints about Sauvage, and a lot of people had that complaint about Sauvage, that it did have this headache-inducing effect because it was so strong. But this is one that does have some strength to it, does seem to have some good longevity, so probably could wear it year-round without much of a problem. I mean, worst case scenario, you just go a couple more sprays in the winter, and I think it would hold up fine for all of that. But like I said, fairly versatile, but spring I feel like is the best. The fruity opening, that actually, to me, it's a little weird because I almost feel like that seems a little bit more nighttimey than anything else. But the rest of the fragrance, not as much for nighttime. I actually feel like it would be a nice casual kind of day wear. You don't have to think about it. You could even wear it maybe to work if you didn't overspray, because if you're in a cubicle, Sauvage is going to kill people. Just because it does have that a little bit more mature feel with that dry lavender, woody vibe that it has going. But like I said, nice release. I did like this one. Like everybody else, I think we would love to see some new real blockbuster DNAs coming out from the designer brands. But that being said, I don't feel like this is a letdown. But at the same time, I will say I do feel like it is a little bit overhyped. It's nice, it's good. And if you're not burnt out from Sauvage, you may well like this. But I mean, I wasn't completely blown away. I like this. It's a strong like, not a love. That's what I should say. Anyways, that's it. That's the first impressions. Dior Sauvage Elixir. Were you looking forward to this fragrance? What's your favorite Sauvage? Are you really, really tired of these blue fragrances? Would you love to see something new from designers? Personally, I know I would, even though I do still like a lot of the releases that are coming out. So, Leave a comment down below with your thoughts on all of that. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.